Merism is one of those subtle yet powerful ideas that quietly shapes how we think, speak, and understand the world, often without us even realizing it. Imagine describing everything by naming just two extremes, day and night, heaven and earth, life and death. In doing so, we are not merely pointing to opposites. We are, in fact, invoking the entirety of existence. This linguistic and philosophical device, known as Merism, compresses the vastness of reality into a pair of contrasting terms, allowing the human mind to grasp the infinite through the finite. It is both a poetic shortcut and a profound way of structuring meaning. At its core, Merism is a rhetorical and conceptual technique in which a whole is expressed by referring to its parts, particularly polar or contrasting parts. Rather than listing every component of a set, Merism captures totality by invoking its boundaries. When someone says searching high and low, they are not literally referring only to two locations. They are implying a search everywhere. The power of Merism lies in its efficiency. It conveys completeness without exhaustiveness, making it a favorite tool in literature, philosophy, and everyday language. The roots of Merism can be traced back to ancient traditions, especially in religious and philosophical texts. Many sacred writings use meristic expressions to articulate the idea of totality or divine omnipresence. Phrases like from east to west, or the alpha and the omega symbolize not just 2 points, but the entire span between them. In this sense, Merism becomes more than a linguistic device. It becomes a way of expressing metaphysical wholeness. It suggests that reality can be understood through its extremes, that the boundaries define the whole. Philosophically, Merism invites us to reflect on how we perceive duality and unity. It operates on the assumption that opposites are not isolated but interconnected, forming a continuum. By naming the extremes, we implicitly acknowledge everything that lies between them. This has interesting implications for how we think about concepts like good and evil, mind and body, or chaos and order. Merism does not necessarily resolve these dualities, but it frames them within a larger unity, reminding us that opposites are often part of a single, integrated whole. In literature, Merism adds rhythm, emphasis, and depth. Writers use it to create a sense of completeness or universality without overwhelming the reader with detail. It can make descriptions more vivid and memorable. For example, saying through thick and thin conveys endurance across all circumstances, while young and old encompasses all ages. Merism also plays a role in shaping cultural and cognitive patterns. Human beings tend to think in binaries, organizing experience into pairs of opposites. This tendency is reflected in language, where meristic expressions are common across cultures. Whether it is black and white, here and there, or now and then, such phrases reveal a universal inclination to understand complexity through contrast. Merism leverages this inclination, turning it into a communicative strength. However, Merism is not without its limitations. While it simplifies and clarifies, it can also obscure nuance. By focusing on extremes, it may overlook the richness and diversity that exists between them. For instance, describing something as good or bad may ignore the many shades of gray that characterize real-life situations. In this sense, Merism can both illuminate and oversimplify, depending on how it is used. It is a tool that requires awareness and balance. In modern contexts, Merism continues to thrive, especially in media, advertising, and political discourse. Catchy phrases and slogans often rely on this technique to create impact and memorability. Expressions like win or lose, all or nothing, or make or break capture attention precisely because they frame situations in absolute terms. This can be persuasive, but it can also reinforce binary thinking, which may not always reflect the complexity of reality. Despite these challenges, the enduring appeal of Merism lies in its ability to bridge the gap between language and experience. It allows us to speak about the infinite in finite terms, to gesture toward totality without needing to enumerate every detail. In a world that is often overwhelming in its complexity, Merism offers a way to simplify without entirely losing depth. It reminds us that sometimes, by naming the edges, we can evoke the whole. Ultimately, Merism is more than just a figure of speech. It is a window into how humans make sense of the world. It reflects our desire to find order in complexity, to understand the vast through the limited, and to communicate meaning with clarity and elegance. These expressions resonate because Merism does not divide reality. Categorize the world. It unites it through contrast, showing that even the most contrasting elements can belong to a single, cohesive whole.